It's like, what do you do past counting the bricks, all the cracks in the walls? But for a person with schizophrenia, sort of bipolar disorder, it's like having these hypersenses. It's not just the fact that I can feel the weight of the air. It's the wind that's blowing under the door, like stupid, talking to you. It's the dripping of the toilet. It just slowly builds on you. It's like a drop of water. If you singly drop it on your head, and if you focus on something else, it wouldn't bother you. But without any distractions and only these other voices in my head, you tend to make rash decisions by yourself. My physical condition always impacts the mental, and always vice versa. So I'm diabetic, and often in certain facilities, they take you out to medical to get insulin, but in solitary, they come to your cell. And so I'm getting insulin in the slot, the needle breaks, little blood sprays. I'm asked out of insulin. And so I have about 8 hours until I see the next human being. But if I miss that, it's gonna be 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, and I'll be dead by then. So I have basically the next 5 a.m. breakfast shift to get what I need. And so I'm pacing back and forth, I'm talking to myself, and early in the morning, in this sort of vacuum of a space, it becomes this sort of microphone for the rest of the facility. I know people don't understand it, but you can hear things more acutely in your cell from outside. So I hear the keys 2 floors down, I hear him loading the trays, I hear the conversation, the mumbers, and I'm panicking, like I have to get this guy's attention. So the elevator's coming up, boom, the cart's in the room, I hear the slots open and bang. I'm thinking like, how can I get this guy to get me to medical? How can I get the attention that I need? Bang, the carts are coming, the slot is open, it's getting fast. I'm thinking like, how can I, well, if I cut my hand and I reach for the tray, then he'll see that I'm bleeding, he's gonna give me medical attention. And so I do that, it works. I get to medical. And so when you hear people, harming themselves or hurting themselves inside of solitary, it is sort of the dramatic way to get the resources and what you need that may be life-saving. Inside of prisons, there is no mental health assessment, and without assessment, there's no treatment. And without that connection to your prior treatments or the outside, you're left in this limbo of, so you have problems, you say, you're seeing things, oh, you're hallucinating, okay. They don't really validate your problems, it's just considered as being problematic. So with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, they gave me lithium, which of course was a bad medication. Gave me a rash, you react to that rash, it's like, hey, I don't want to take this because it's causing me physical harm. They're saying, well, you obviously don't have a mental harm if you don't want to take this medication. So it becomes this sort of state where people inside end up having to prove that they have a problem just to be sort of treated for that problem. And the treatment is minimal, and it's only medication that they prescribe or the generic version of that. You're getting the less version. So things like talk therapy, things like emotional support, talking to a psych who can actually diagnose what your sort of delusions are to break them down, also ground you in reality. I think that the strongest point is family, so that exclusion from my kids, from people who understand me, from people who know what you're going through, that type of support is a void in prison. And so you end up decompensating by yourself. You end up having this sort of personality shift by yourself. And this is on top of the many, many mood disorders and mental conditions that prisons and jails cause on a normal basis. For me, it was hard to thrive without those supports. So I just kept spiraling down to the point that I'm looking like Dr. Jonathan Kimball, like the fugitive in a cell, talking to myself, writing on the walls and drawing because it was like my only outlet. And even that, all of that is punishable. One of the many things that I think needs to happen in the system to help people with mental health is they shouldn't be there in the first place. When you look at a person's diagnosis and their conditions, and if their crime associates with their conditions, they shouldn't be incarcerated in the first place. I think that besides adequate mental health care, there's not enough of treatment that goes on in facilities. It is just, what do you need so you'll stop complaining being here? There is no psychiatrist. There's sometimes one per hub, which means one psychotherapist or one trained psychiatrist or doctor between 4 or 5 facilities. And that's not conducive to having a regular treatment to support you.
As a community, as a society, we need to understand that these lives matter. The best way to rehabilitate is to have a systems of care perspective, understanding that it's the entire environment that really needs to help. We talk about psychiatrists, social workers, parole officers, and just the entire community at large. People in prison, people in jail, the vast majority are going to be released. So, do you want to have a situation in which people are worse off when they come out as compared to when they came in?